don't know why I ever try to make videos where I'm just holding the phone in my hand because it's extremely awkward and annoying, but here I am. Well, I just hadn't made a vlog in a while. I haven't been doing very much, obviously. I feel definitely a lot better, and I don't know if it's because of my boss or we're both just feeling better at the same time. But yeah, I was telling a friend about how my boss seems to be feeling so much better, and I couldn't really figure out like what we or she had been doing differently that, had improved her mood. And my friend said like she's probably just acclimating, which just kind of made sense. Um, yeah, that's basically just it, I guess. I guess a person can get used to anything, so that's really good because I was really worried. And also, like, last week she had a Zoom class, and she was interested, but then like afterwards she didn't seem very happy, and I was just thinking that she must be like a bit stressed and confused by like trying to see and interact with everybody in that format. And that maybe for her it just like wasn't really working the same and it was just too weird. And like I think part of the problem is like if you can't talk and like you can't see that well, then like there's so many aspects of interacting with people that like a video chat just like doesn't do at all. So I felt worried about that. But this week she had her class and she really seemed to enjoy it and be engaged with it and be happy. So yeah, so much for thinking that wasn't going to work. I think it's actually like turned into a positive thing for her, so that's really good. Um, a second attempt to donate blood, which you also hopefully can learn a lesson from. Remember last time I tried to go and donate blood as a walk-in, because that's what I usually do because I'm always late to everything. And they were obviously like, hey, like we can't let walk-ins donate blood because of social distancing. So yeah, anyway, I actually made an appointment and I went yesterday and I was able to donate. I had never done this before, but if you like weigh over a certain amount, you're allowed to do this thing where you donate twice the normal amount of blood, and then they just take your red blood cells. I don't really know science, but they just take your red blood cells and then they like put all of the plasma back in, so you're able to donate more without like, I don't know, getting really sick from doing it or whatever. Um, I hadn't done it before because I was kind of like at the weight borderline for being allowed to do it, but I was able to do it. And like, I'm really glad that I did it in this case because just like the whole blood drive situation just kind of seems like it sucks. Like, it seems like they really need blood, but because of social distancing rules, obviously, they have to be really strict about how many people are allowed to like sign up because they have people like, you know, instead of having like a bunch of people waiting, they basically would have like four people sitting in these really like far spaced four chairs in a room, and like they couldn't really let like more people in to do it. So basically, because less people are able to donate blood, I was really glad that I was able to donate more. However, like if not for current events, I definitely wouldn't ever do this particular type of like blood donation again because it was really weird. Um, it's like they tell you that when you're getting your plasma put back in, and again, I don't know the science stuff, but I guess when you get it put back in, it makes you feel super weird and like your lips start tingling. That's what they said would happen, but like I just like it was like the weirdest experience I've ever had. Like my whole face started tingling and like I was so cold that like my teeth were chattering and all this stuff. Um, so it was a bit spooky, even though I'm really glad that I was able to do that since I was able to give them like more blood than I would have otherwise. But um, I definitely, by next time that I'll have like, by the time enough time has passed that I'll be able to donate blood again, hopefully this will all be over so I won't have to consider doing that again because it was not pleasant. Anyways, the dumb thing I did was like they tell you not to drink alcohol after, and last night I thought I could just drink like my usual beer and it would be fine. Instead, like I drank like a few sips and I was like woozy with alcohol, and then like today I woke up feeling like I had been on like the biggest bender of my life, and I've like felt like that all day. Um, just because I was too dumb to realize, like, oh, basic advice about donating blood does in fact apply to me. Um, just as a little excuse, I do think, like, it is the case, I think, like, for a lot of autistic people that we, like, don't necessarily have the same physical reactions to other people. Like, I do feel like there are some medications that just have, like, no effect on me. And so I think sometimes I, like, don't listen enough to advice because I'm kind of like, oh, it probably doesn't apply to me because I'm just kind of used to that. But yeah, apparently I react, like, exactly the same as everyone else to getting a lot of my blood removed. Yeah. Sorry, I had some notes. This is all super boring, but I just figured I would make another vlog. I watched, like, a bit of Tiger King because I don't like to be, like, the type of person who thinks they need to watch something because everyone else watches it. But, like, it does get extremely annoying hearing everyone constantly talking about Tiger King. So I started watching it. It's, like, pretty entertaining. Yeah, he seems like a bad dude. What else? Well, I think I talked about this last time, but I don't know. I do feel a little bit stupid complaining about this because it seems like it's maybe kind of like a minor issue in the grand scheme of things, but like I do think sheltering in place is like quite hard on people, even though it's like, I don't know. I have a friend who, I think when people are fussing about, like, you know, one person's situation being worse than another, and like the idea that you can't complain if like things aren't like bad enough for you, like if you're not in like a completely tragic situation, you can't be upset. My friend always says, like, well, there's like always somebody being eaten by a bear right now, which is kind of true. And I think like right now it's kind of like this situation where like a small amount of people are being eaten by bears, but everybody else is just being like slightly chewed by like I don't want to say a vulture. Vultures are really cute. Just like slightly gently chewed on like one finger by a bear, which like isn't like a great ideal situation, but like it does feel like kind of douchey to talk about it because like, you know, I can't imagine how horrible and difficult it must be to like be a healthcare worker or like be seriously ill or have a family member who's seriously ill. And like I also think that as somebody who thinks that I'm immune, who thinks that I've already had it before, it's kind of like intellectually I understand the importance of sheltering in place and I am being safe and following the rules, but I think probably on an emotional level I probably can't relate to how scared some people feel just because emotionally I feel that I probably am immune. So, you know, I'm not acting recklessly just because I think that, but I think it means that like maybe on a certain level I'm just maybe more calm about it than other people are. And of course, like I could be totally wrong too. But anyway. Oh, right. So I can't remember if I talked about this before. I obviously haven't made a video in a little while, so I can't remember what I said. I feel quite frustrated by the lack of attention to accessibility issues in like a lot of the shelter in place, stay at home type orders in the Bay Area because basically they've gotten strict. And it's funny because like some people I've talked to that don't live in the Bay Area or in California like aren't familiar with this like at all and like don't know what I'm talking about because apparently some places don't have rules like this at all. But you know, a lot of the shelter in place orders have rules like, oh, it's okay to go out to exercise or like get some fresh air. Like specifically in the Bay Area, they got upset about the idea that like everybody was trying to go exercise at like the most popular parks or like the most popular hiking trails or whatever. Now I'm realizing I did talk about this. But yeah, the point is they're like trying to either close parks or just like make strict rules saying that you can only go to parks that you can walk to. And you know, the idea is everybody will use their neighborhood parks instead of flocking to like the most popular destinations. But it's really, I mean, I just want to point out it is kind of a double standard where if you are not in a wheelchair and don't use a mobility device, you could easily walk to a park. At least in San Francisco, there's lots of parks and, you know, spread out everywhere. It might not be the best park, but you'll like find some place that you can like walk around and get some fresh air and see some nature. And I think the assumption is that everybody has that, but actually like because there are many some parks that are not accessible, and many sidewalks that are like not accessible or are like too steep to travel on in a wheelchair, or just the fact that some people can't walk a few blocks, people that use a cane or whatever. Basically, it's really frustrating because the situation is that like those people actually can't get to their local park, and the rules are basically trying to say that it's not okay to drive or like use any other means to get to a park, and that the implication is that there's really no good reason to do that because everyone can supposedly go somewhere in their neighborhood, and that's really not true. So I guess I just find it frustrating because it does kind of feel like disabled people are sort of being left out of this and like aren't really being considered. Like the Department of Public Health, I think that's the website it's on, there's like this really long frequently asked questions about shelter in place, like blah blah blah, like if I don't drive, how should I get around, like if I don't cook, how should I get food? But there's nothing saying like, if I use a wheelchair, like how am I supposed to get around in the way that you're saying people are, like the only way that people are allowed to go out, whatever. So that kind of bugs me because it just feels like they didn't think about wheelchair users, or they assumed that all wheelchair users are like the group of people that are supposed to like stay inside all the time, and therefore like their right to get outside doesn't matter. I mean, I feel like a lot of people like don't acknowledge that like young wheelchair users exist, which is really annoying. Anyways, I feel a little dumb complaining about this though, because like obviously there's much more major stuff going on, but like the thing is, day to day, even for people who are in the best possible situation, like life is difficult like this, and if people aren't able to get outside, I mean, obviously I know there's some countries and places where people aren't allowed outside at all, and so, I don't mean to erase the fact that that's true, but I guess I just feel like if a local government is saying, oh, of course people should be able to get outside, except for wheelchair users, I feel like that's kind of like shitty. Shouldn't really be allowed. I wanted to read something also for the lulz. I don't really mean to like be super mean or critical about this because I know that it's well meant and like people just don't know how to deal with this, but like I guess there's two different organizations that I get funded through as a support worker. And one of them was sending out COVID-19 related things a bit earlier. They were basically sending things out, not really relevant to me, but basically applicable to people who are caregivers for like several people and like are going into several clients' houses. But like it was just giving like the most basic screening questions that we know like just aren't enough. It was basically kind of a cover your ass kind of thing, and it was basically saying like when you go into your client's house, you should like ask them if they've traveled to China or if they know anyone who's been diagnosed with COVID-19, and you're supposed to stay 6 feet away from them while you're asking them those questions, and I guess if you think they might have it, you're supposed to leave. And it's like, I don't know, I do think like some social distancing rules just like don't really, like you can't really follow them as a support worker. Like, if somebody needs physical help to like eat or go to the bathroom, like you're just supposed to ditch them because like if they've been to China or something like that, which isn't even like, anybody could have it. Whatever. Anyway, the other thing I recently got was, again, this is very well meant, but it's just too much. It looks like it was written for a baby. So it's telling me, as somebody who's a support worker for someone who's disabled, it's a list of activities that I'm supposed to do with my client to, rock painting is one of the activities. Making paint out of pudding. Okay, that sounds like a little bit fun. This is my favorite. Nature or neighborhood walk. Walk or roll at a park or a neighborhood. Have individuals. Oh, this is just something I want to point out if you're like not aware of this. A lot of the time people that are in disability service provision or whatever will do this weird politically correct thing where instead of when they want to refer to like the disabled people who are clients of the program, they don't want to say disabled people. I mean, I guess that's kind of understandable because like I'm a support worker and I'm disabled. Like obviously some staff could be disabled too, but that's not what they're thinking. What they're thinking is that they don't want to say disabled people because it sounds like unpolitically correct to them. And like, you know, then people are kind of running around about like what other words they want to use. Like, could they say clients? Would they say consumers? Would they say participants? And honestly, all those words are better than the word individuals, because it's basically like they're trying to use the word individual to like show like that they respect disabled people as individuals, but like they're just going around being like staff, 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 people, people, people. And then like when they talk about disabled people, they say individuals. And like once you notice this, it's like really hard not to kind of get your back up when you hear it, because it's actually such a bizarre tick to call disabled people individuals whenever you talk about them. Anyways, have individuals listen to and identify noises: birds, cars, lawnmowers, dogs, barking, etc. Create a scavenger hunt or nature bingo by having individuals find items in their natural environment: stop sign, tree, bush, car, etc. Again, this is for adults. Have them sweep the floor. That's gonna make everybody feel better. Dancing. Have a contest for who can dance the longest. Great. Oh, this is the funniest one. Mindfulness. Try to find a quiet moment. Have everyone participate at their level. Have everyone close their eyes. Oh, let's just do an ASMR video. Speak soft or whisper. Describe the beach. Be descriptive with what they smell. Taste the salty air. Feel sand in between their toes. Hear seagulls, the ocean. To increase the sensory of the activity, choose items that could be used for these sensory experience. Sunscreen for the smell, water in a squirt bottle to feel the ocean spray, kinetic sand or real sand to touch. So they're telling support workers that we're supposed to have our clients close their eyes. We're gonna go up, make them smell sunscreen, spray them with water out of a bottle, and say, imagine you're at the beach. And that'll make the fact that they're not able to go to the beach like totally fine. Counting. Count slowly with the individual to 10. Count to the individual. Have the individual do it themselves. I know it sounds like I'm joking putting the word individual in here more times, but it's really in here this amount of times. Count backwards. Count items. Music. Classical, spa, nature sounds. Discover new music that individuals may enjoy. Looking back at memories about past birthdays, outings, good times. Try to keep it positive and redirect back to the positive. That I really don't like. Like, nobody feels good, and I'm sure, like, of all the people, a lot of disabled people are probably having an especially hard time for all the reasons I said. It's harder to video chat, it's harder to communicate online if you have, like, sensory disabilities, if you don't hear or see as well, if you like don't read or write as well, or if you can't use the internet as well, and if like you're restricted in where you're able to go and you're already mobility impaired. They've shut down a lot of train and bus lines. I don't know, there's just so many ways that this is going to impact disabled people, and like, you know, it's good to talk about feelings and memories and stuff, but like don't like decide that people need to be keeping it positive instead of just talking about how they're feeling. I was quite, actually I was out of the room for this, but during my client's class, her mom said that apparently the teacher was talking with everybody about their feelings, and you know, she said it was really nice actually how all the students in the class and the teacher and the staff were all sharing how much we all missed each other and like how awful it was to be inside. Like, for heaven's sake, like, let people say that. But anyway, in general, I think my mood probably seems pretty good, although it might be because I'm kind of recovering from my weird blood donation hangover thing, because I just feel excellent now that that's over and I'm more back to myself. But anyway, I do feel like I've acclimated and I'm feeling a ton better, so that's really great. I hope that that's the case for other people as well, and yeah, that you and everybody in your family is doing well, and that you're not doing anything that's unsafe. Yep.